Welcome to the Sonic Shaman Show, home of the Coffee Connect and Conscious Connections. The show is dedicated to empowering you to perceive, know, be, and express your unique voice in this world without the fear of judgment of others through healing, coaching, and educational services. In each episode, Hank and his guests offer tools, techniques, and inspiration to help you step into your potency. Now, here is your host, Hank Setala.
Happy Saturday morning, everyone. Again, I'm here with Heather MacMillan, who is a certified facilitator of access consciousness. And we've done a lot of these streams. We talked about bars. We talked about just possibilities. We talked about one of my favorites, the How to Become Money Workbook. And that was kind of like the lead-in for this talk, because the How to Become Money Workbook is in a way like the infrastructure for Foundation, which is kind of what we're talking about today, the tools of Foundation, what it is, why you might want to consider it as a possibility. Welcome, Heather. How are you this morning?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. I'm so grateful to be here.
No, I've been having too much fun, and people came to. For those of you who aren't, who don't know, I run a center, and the first Thursday of every single month we have a bars night, and we had a whole bunch of people come out to the bars night because they saw our stream about bars. So how much fun is that?
Oh, that's amazing. It's like the logo of Access Consciousness. What we're talking about here with Access Bars is a dandelion. So it's like we're being the dandelion, spreading those seeds today.
Yeah, I think that's where I got spread the contagion of consciousness. I think either Dane or Gary said it, but I really like the ring of it. It's like you really are just sowing these little seeds of consciousness, because once you become aware of something, you can't become, it's not that you couldn't become unaware, but it's a lot harder to pretend that you don't know. Like once you know, you can't just pretend that you don't know. So wonderful. So tell us, for people who don't know what Foundation is, or maybe even taking a step back, maybe somebody's catching us for the first time, why not give asking an amazing question that you always ask before we actually start the energy of the day, and two, just kind of an overview of access and what it is.
Well, what are the greatest possibilities available, and what would it take for us to have more fun in this conversation than we've ever had so far?
Yeah, what would it take? And we had just had Brenda saying, good morning, Brenda. I was wondering, is anybody watch at 8 a.m. on a Saturday? And I see quite a few people tuning in. So maybe that's, I'm the one who's usually sleeping in and everybody else is awake, and I should be, up earlier. But anyhow, so what is access consciousness, and why is Foundation really the foundation of really starting to launch oneself into possibility?
Well, I'm so grateful that we're meeting early this morning and that you were game for that, because I'm facilitating an Access Consciousness Bars class today, and it begins at 9:30 Eastern. And in the Access Bars class, I have my manual handy, you learn this amazing way to relax and receive and have more ease with your body and the world. It's these 32 points on the head that when you lightly touch them, it creates this sense of peace and space and possibility, kind of like if you could just have that feeling of being totally refreshed and totally you, that so many of us are when we're with someone who doesn't judge us, when we're with someone who cares for us, a pet, or when we're in a deep forest. So it creates that sense of oneness and peace that so many of us are thirsty for, and we may never have even recognized that we have that desire in our world. And so the bars is really the first class in Access Consciousness. It introduces you to this amazing gift that you can be for your own life, but that you can also share with other people. You can run bars on your family, your friends, your children, and people that you may not be getting along with so well, because it can allow the dissipation of everything that's not allowing there to be that sense of oneness and peace between you and whoever you're running bars with.
Absolutely. And bars, we talked about this on our last stream. What's talked about in the class and the tools given go way beyond just the body process of the bars, between
Oh
like
yeah.
the questions. Well, just asking the questions is like a huge thing. And I encourage everyone, check out, I'll post a video or a link rather to the stream that we just did, because we focus like on the bars the entire time. But let me
Yeah.
mention this. The first time I ever took foundation with Heather, like there's all these tables in the back and people are getting up and they're going back having their bars. And I'm like, oh, I have to pay attention. I can't like go back and have a bar session because I know I'll just like lose consciousness. And now like it's a whole different experience when you go to an access class. It's just like, oh yeah, let me go you're getting receive so much more if your bars are being run while you're receiving the class. And so like that's one thing that I love about foundation is it's way more than just the things that you're learning. There's other people there. Everybody there has taken bars, and people are gifting and like giving and receiving the sessions during the class as things come up, and it just creates a lot more, because it's almost like you're getting the class and you're getting a whole bunch of mini bar sessions or other energy processes throughout the time.
Yeah, and this foundation class, and you asked me before, and I launched into bars, but the foundation is the class in Access that's after the bars. And like Hank said, even if you slept through the entire thing, you would still get so much change, because you in Access, the change occurs not just with what we're saying. It's so much an energetic gift as well. So it's not something that you have to understand intellectually, or there's no quiz at the end. So you can just lay back and actually receive in whatever way works for you. And for some people, that is relaxing and receiving bars and body work during class. In fact, I was just in Florida at a choice of possibilities class, which is a kind of one more advanced, the class after the foundation, one of the possibilities with Access after foundation. And for 3 whole days, and one of the reasons I went live was because I really was looking for 3 days of running bars, getting my bars run, running body processes, receiving body processes. And that's one of the things that's so great about when we can get together in person and be that gift of ease and space and possibility for each other.
Well, we've talked about this before too. One thing that I really like is that every single year they have something called Global. And Global is all the certified facilitators either come in person or they Zoom in and they're taking it remotely. But every single certified facilitator takes this class every single year. And based on the questions, because Access is all about the questions, and the CS will all ask questions of what's going on in their world, and they basically rewrite the manual every single year based on the energy in the world, sometimes more than once a year. And that's coming up too. And Heather is coming right after that. But the thing I wanted to mention is for anybody who's considering a Global, the center is actually a Party of Possibility location for that, and a Choice of Possibility coming up for Dr. Dane here. So like we're going to be like all spaced out literally, which is why I picked the graphic I picked for our talk today, because that's what bars and Access has created the most of for me, is just the space of possibility. And they give the example in the bars book. Imagine when you're talking with a friend just about your dreams and your possibilities, and the sense of space that creates when you're somebody that is of like mind that can be a contribution to that vision. Just talking like that can create the space of possibility. And that's really what Access does with all the tools that it has.
Yeah. And I mean, I noticed that, whenever you and I have been doing these live streams, it creates that energy as well. It's like when you talk with someone and they also have that willingness to create more and create exponentially greater, it just, so many ideas come and it becomes more and more fun. And we start really to be this question. And this is one of the tools of Access to start playing with, if you're new to it, is really what else is possible? What else is possible I haven't ever considered? Because it gets us out of those places where we have a judgment or a conclusion that might be limiting the possibilities, that might be limiting what can show up. So in any relationship, in any business, in any situation, you can always ask, what else is possible here?
Yeah. And let me put it this way. As soon as you end up choosing an Access class, Well, this is probably true of other classes too, but like it's almost like as soon as you sign up, the changes start to happen. Like energetically, you've already committed. And I remember like just driving down to Columbus because the first time I took a foundation was with Heather, and me, Ryan, and his partner Deanna were all driving down to Columbus, and just already having signed up, it was already creating the space of possibility. Dad was getting phone calls in the car about some like money things that were like actualizing as we're driving to foundation. It's just like, oh my gosh, like it already created this catalyst of change. It was so amazing. There was something else I wanted to mention there, but now what poof? I had my first poof of this morning. But for those of you just joining us, if you have any questions, I know people might be like kind of groggy waking up and all that. But if you have questions, you have comments, if there's anything in your world sticking you, there's probably a tool and access that we could offer that would give a little bit more clarity, a little bit more ease, and a lot more peace around virtually anything showing up. So feel free to contribute.
Yeah, and I mean, the clarity and ease is huge. I mean, that's what I'd love to hear about. You know, what areas became more clear and more ease for you after your first foundation. For me, it was things I never would have ever considered, and one of them really was the body, and that's what brought me to Access and that it was so different than other modalities that I had loved and gotten a lot of peace and change from. Access was so nurturing to the body because in the foundation and beyond, there are these things called body processes. And they're ways that you put your hands in a certain position and ask for certain energies that are really transformative and nurturing and a contribution to the body in ways that are beyond what I could have ever imagined. I mean, if you've, I notice after I get my bars run or have a body process, there's a glow, there's a peace, there's a sense of happiness that is that infection of consciousness that you were mentioning.
Yeah. And for anybody who wants to just dip their toes into like a bars experience, on the first Thursday every single month, we have a bars clinic night, and you can get information at that. It's emergenceofbeing.com under experiences, bars clinic. When you register, it is by reservation. And we do ask that you contribute something, just for an exchange of some sort, but you can donate or contribute whatever you'd like to your practitioner, either in person or online. But if you just choose that, I've seen people's lives change just from getting a 30-minute bar session. And I even had one lady come in, she had come to one like a year ago. She's like, yeah, I just felt it finally wearing off, so I figured it was time for another dose. Well, imagine if you continue to stack that experience, like, it might last a year. Like everybody experiences that differently. But what if you start getting your bars run more often? It could be an exponentially greater and greater thing. But to answer your question, the things that created the most space, and this is going to get maybe a little woo-woo for people, so hang on to your hats.
Hang on.
The concept of, and that's talked about in Foundation, about occupants and like entities and things like that. I've always had a voice in my head, and I'm a medium, so like I've never thought anything about spirits being around me or anything like that. But there was like one that's been a constant ever since third grade, and it was during like an ESC. That I all of a sudden had this awareness, like, oh my God, that there's somebody else in here. And it was during that thing, I realized that they were hanging around with me. There's a lot of backstory I won't go into, but there was this moment where it's like, I'm so sorry, I'm not for you. You can go now. And for the first time after that, that's where I was crying and laughing right after that. I had silence for the first time that I can remember in my head. I thought I knew silence from meditation and things. And that was a point of view and a thing that I had never considered before, that there could be more than one being in a body. And I have had a lot of confusion in my life as a result of this. And in that one moment in Foundation, everything in my life changed. And talk about clarity when you have beings in the body that don't agree on something. So like I said, it might sound a little woo, but that was like one of the greatest things. And it was something I went into Foundation not even knowing I didn't know. And that's the thing with access tools. You don't know what you don't know, but what if you could be empowered to know?
Yeah. And oh my gosh, I love that story. And it's such an amazing gift of Foundation and you said it so well, that you don't even know what you're not aware of could be a contribution to you in changing. And these tools around entities, around beings without bodies that are in the foundation class are such a gift of clarity for people. Because when you've got a lot of confusion in that area, it can be difficult to make choices. Like you'll get a yes and a no, or a yes, 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 no, or like, and it's a lot of different beings chiming in there. So some of the tools that are in the foundation class for that will allow you to have and be you, and be able to let go of the things that are not you, that may be standing in the way of you being able to have, like Hank said, a clear head, no thoughts, that sense of space and peace all the time.
I just get choked up even still thinking about it. I didn't even know that my head could be that quiet. It was just like, oh my God. It was such a gift. And the thing that I also just want to mention, when we came back, like it was a really personal moment. Nobody asked me about it. Nobody pried into it. And I thought that was really important, because we talk a lot about not embellishing the story and things like that. And if I would have told it right afterwards, especially, it might have like taken away from it a little bit. It was really just this raw experience, and it was just so good. And there's another thing I wanted to say to that, but I already started going poof. So I'll remind people, whenever my idea goes poof, that's when I say, hey, if you have a question, we will go down any rabbit hole, no matter how woo-woo that it might be. We will happily go down and answer your questions and see what possibilities we can help create for you. You mentioned the bodies, though, and in foundation, there are a lot. Well, that's another thing. Well, we'll say that for a different stream, because I could go down a whole nother rabbit hole just with bodies. But with foundation, there's a manual, and it has all these different topics and everything. But one of my favorite things from that, other than the ESC from Dr. Dane, are the body processes. And there's like MTVSS, if I might be misremembering them, cellular memory. I think, is zero sum of trauma in there? Do they do zero sum of trauma? I don't remember.
Not in that one. There's biomimetic mimicry, which is the body process that's about, like, if you've ever had someone say to you, oh my gosh, you look so much like your dad, like, or whatever, like those little moments that add up through time where we're looking to make ourselves like someone else, or we're trying to understand someone or something in some way, and we create our body from that point of view. And so the body processes unlock things that it's like, wow, I never would have considered that I actually had the capacity to facilitate this kind of change for myself, but also for others. Having these energies at your fingertips really is having magic available to you at all times. And one experience I had with that is I was riding the metro here in DC, and I just noticed these body processes turning on and running. And our bodies are really aware, and they have consciousness, and they're aware of when other bodies are saying, hey, like, I know you've got a little bit of this magical energy. Can I have some of it? So my body would just start running these body processes.
Awesome. And now the biomimetric mimicry was the one I was thinking of. And as a reminder, depending on where people are watching from, if you do have a question and you're writing a question and we're not seeing it, there's some locations that we don't see comments. So if you do it on the YouTube channel, the Emergence of Being page or group, we'll definitely see the comments. So if we're not ignoring you, if you're commenting somewhere else, there's this idea of understanding, and like the body does it, but the being also does it, where that in order to understand somebody or someone, you're putting yourself underneath their energy. And I did a whole stream on this just myself, like the trap of understanding, like what are you wanting to understand about someone, that you start unknowingly creating a similar set of circumstances in your life. And the body too, like science crosses a little bit here. Have you ever heard of the author Bruce Lipton?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. So if you think it's kind of woo-woo that your body could like take the form of, relatives or whatnot, he's done these things where he's done like DNA testing to show predispositions for certain things, then works with people with different things, and then takes the test again, and the predispositions go away. So what are the endless possibilities with an open mind, the awareness that anything is possible, and running these energy processes and other tools to actually shift the makeup of your physical body? It might be woo-woo, but there's science to back the woo. That could be a meme, I think. We'll probably make a meme out of that. But between those two things, because it's like the being recreating things and the body maybe emulating things and running those energy processes and using tools, especially like the clearing statement, which is one of my favorite tools from Access, you can really start to shift into a whole different worlds of possibility with these things.
Yeah, and I mean, there's tons of 4 days of clearing statements in the foundation class, and you know, the foundation class, like Hank mentioned, is being rewritten at the end of April, and it's a global event. There'll be thousands of people from around the world. There'll be people live in Mexico, and it's something that you can participate in, and also your being a part of that is a gift and a contribution, because what you know and what you bring, and even if it's just a question that you have in your head of like, wow, what would it take for my money situation to change? Or what would it take for my relationship to be happier? Or I'd really like this thing and it hasn't shown up. Even if you're just going into the foundation class with that wondering in your universe, that's contributing to where the entire class is going. And people often wonder with that class, well, you know, I'm not going to get to be able to ask a question. I'm not going to be able to get, you know, up to the microphone. Well, what if consciousness has your back, and whatever you're wondering about and asking the universe for is actually contributing to where that class goes and what can change? And the facilitators of the class, Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here, the co-creators of Access Consciousness, are super psychic and aware, and they are tapping into anyone who's participating in the class now and in the future.
I just have to remember in Global, there was a girl, like someone, because with Access, if you have children and they're under a certain age, with an adult, they can come and they can take any class for free, because Gary has the idea that, and I believe a correct idea, if there's such a thing as right and wrong, that children are the ones that are going to fix this planet. They're the ones that are going to step up and actually have the skill sets and the awareness and the drive and the possibility to put us back on track. And so as such, children can take the classes for free. If they're over 16, I think they take them for half price. But there was like a girl there, and I forget the backstory, but Gary ended up doing a clearing. And when he did this clearing, all the internet, the Wi-Fi in the entire hotel went out. Now, we still got the recording afterwards. But when you talk about potency and the ability to clear energies and things like that, that's some of the things that these clearing statements do. And I remember like Ryan, he was just like, whoa, no. And like, we're trying to get it to work. And then we found out like the whole hotel's Wi-Fi went out, and they had to, and it was at the moment that he did the clearing. So I think it was, you know, a correlation. But that's the thing I love about the foundation class, especially if you can come to in person, like we're doing one in Cleveland here in May with Heather. Yay! Is so interactive. Like people ask questions, and like one question leads to another question, which leads to another question, which leads to a clearing. And before you know it, the whole class is staring at Heather like this. And she's like, I think we need a breakdown. There's like just so much space, and it's so good. But you really can get a lot of laser focused attention in a way if you're brave and ask a question, because it always leads down this rabbit hole of freedom. That could be another meme, rabbit hole of freedom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you, in order to get the benefit of the class, if you ask a question, it can contribute to everyone else in the room, and it often does. I mean, how many of you guys are so psychic that you find yourselves in classes often asking someone else's question of like, I've got this burning question, and you ask the question and it's not even yours. Like, so I know I've been that person in classes before. And that choice of possibilities class that I was just attending in Florida with Brendan Watt, I didn't ask a single question out loud the entire time, though the class answered questions I didn't even realize I had.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. And when you have a group of people that are all eager for consciousness, like somebody's going to ask something, and then that will lead to something else. And then the next thing you know, the entire group is vortexing, which now since I mentioned vortexing, that's a concept in Access, where if you ever get those cold feelings like the energy running through you, why don't you go ahead and just give it, because this happens to me in every Access class, which is one reason I love doing it in the zero gravity chair with a blanket all snuggled up. But
Yeah.
what exactly is vortexing for people who might not know?
Well, as I look, I actually have my computer on my massage table right now for bars class, because it's at the perfect height to, like, have the camera see me. And I've got a big furry blanket on here. And it's because when we're doing a lot of this energetic shift and change, and it can be from running body processes or bars, that's one way to shift and change energies. And then also, as Hank has mentioned, Access has this amazing tool called the clearing statement, which is a bunch of weird words that clear energy. It bypasses your mind. And when we've run enough of those and we really get to this place where there's so much of this kind of this energy moving, it is the space, and you may feel like a cool breeze on your arms or legs or face, and it's also a place as a facilitator where it's like, wow, unless someone asks a question, we really have to take a break because there's so much space. There's nothing actually to clear at this point, and all the clearing statements would just kind of not really go anywhere. So that's where in foundation class, I'll often put on what's called an ESC, or an energetic synthesis of communion. And those are facilitated by Dr. Dane here, the co-creator of Access Consciousness. And it's really a recording that we put on in class, and everyone lays on massage tables or zero gravity chairs, gets that warm, snuggly blanket if you require that, and to just relax for an hour and allow the energies of this communion that Dane is facilitating to open the door to communion with all things on the earth and the universe. And what if it is that easy, that joyful, and that glorious to open those doors of possibility, and that you could emerge from an ESC with more of you and more peace in your body, and with a sense of what's actually possible for you that you haven't chosen.
Yeah. And going into a foundation, I knew nothing of what to expect. I didn't know there were energy processes taught. I didn't know anything about an ESC. And if you come in with like that wonderment of like, you don't know what is going to happen, you really have an openness to receive everything. And it just, I can't even describe the ESCs. It is just Dane working you energetically, and then also using some number tools that are in Access, which is also taught in Foundation, like what different numbers energetically have. And don't think numerology. It's not numerology. There's like a potency, an energetic potency to each number. And Dane has this way of doing different combinations of numbers to facilitate change, which is, I think, where it inadvertently came from, because one number is for change, and I forget which one it is now. But Gary would say that people would come up and ask for change, like a panhandler, for example. And he'd be like, I think, is it 5 or 3? I think it might be 5. But he'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He would zap them with this energy, and they would almost stagger away like they were drunk and they didn't know what to hit them. He's like, well, I gave them change, a change of possibility. And it was a whole nother take on energy and what the numbers are. And as time has progressed, there's been more evolution and more numbers added as to what those numbers are, and they all for different things in your life that you could use to make changes. But even that tool alone from Foundation is like a super amazing gift.
It's a superpower.
It is a superpower. And did you ever see the little cartoon someone did of Pod and Pock? Pod is point of destruction. Pock is point of creation. So if you just are hearing the terms for the first time, but someone had put them to cartoons, and they look like little superheroes, and they called Pod and Pock the superheroes of consciousness.
I love that. It's like kapow, kapow, Pod and Pock.
Right. Yeah, it was just like the comic book thing. It was like, yeah, it was like so good. Since the clearing statement is something that is in Foundation and also in the bars class, and that is like, let me take a step back. For those of you who have never done anything Access, one thing that Gary said is that in Access, you would think like in most modalities, they give you like a little taster thing first, and then they build up to the big stuff. In Access, they say they give you the most, actually, I think I got this from Andrew Gardella. They give you the most potent tools up front. They give you like the bars, and the things that are in the bars manual are some of the most potent tools for change. If you were to take one class and never another class, like everything you need to change your life and build on it is in that one class, and everything else definitely adds potency. But like they've already given you the big guns that make all the other things like that much more dynamic and that much more full of possibility. And I don't remember where I was going with that thought.
Well, one way you can start to play with this on your own, and it's actually the first video of Access that I ever watched years and years ago, is at theclearingstatement.com. So if you'd like to get a taste of the energy, if you'd like to meet Dr. Dane here, it's a really cool video. It's like 20 minutes long, maybe a little less, where he will introduce you to the clearing statement and how you can use it to make your life easier. And for how many of you guys who are watching, is that something that you've actually been asking? And so you can watch that video and get a sense of it. And then if you'd like a deeper dive, a more of an explanation of it, you can visit a bars class or the foundation. We talk about it as well. And there are so many different ways that we apply it in foundation to areas of life and living that you may have never even considered could be different. And that's so much of what the foundation class is that you're actually destroying the foundation of limitation and allowing for these out of the world, out of this universe possibilities to be available to you and your body.
And to give one example of that, there's a concept in Access called glass ceilings, and I'm sure in other things too. But like, here's my personal aha moment from one of these. When I was going to church, there was a lawyer at the church and had a lot of money. They had a swimming pool with water slides, like all kinds of fun things. And we were having the church picnic there. And I would ask my dad, well, why don't we have all this stuff? And he's like, well, rich people have to, well, maybe it was my mom. We'll give a little, it could be either parent. I don't know which parent it was. Maybe it was a friend. But anyway, rich people, they have to fill their, they have to have these things because, they're not happy otherwise. Like you have to fill that void or whatnot. And so as a kid, what did I learn? That, oh my gosh, if you have money, then you're not happy. And I'd rather be happy than have money. And so no matter how much I would consciously look to create abundance in my life, it was like you hit this plateau, like I just won't create past a certain point. Or if you have a sibling, why can't you be like Johnny? Johnny's the responsible one. Johnny makes the, has the actual job. Will you ever allow yourself, if you align and agree with that role, to experience something greater than Johnny? So like these are like these little things that stick you from childhood that then create like this plateau of creation. And the clearing statement and other tools from foundation just shatter right through that, so you can step into a whole different world of possibility.
Yeah, and I mean those kinds of points of view that you're talking about are the box of limitation that we create, and that's what the foundation is all about, is exploding that box as if there was never a box there to begin with.
No, that's a really good, accurate description of it. Just explode the box. And you don't even know sometimes the boxes of limitation that you have, because it doesn't have to be in the conscious mind. It could be something in your other than conscious. It could be when you're getting your diaper changed as a child and you being an infinite being that's totally aware, and your parents arguing about money because, oh my gosh, I never realized the kid was so expensive. Oh my goodness. Like what energetically could be put into the body. And that's why we were talking about the body processes like cellular memory. That goes to those things that might be stored in the body unconsciously to start releasing and facilitating change. It's like we're very aware beings. Like what are you aware of that you never acknowledged that the body acknowledged for you? And like getting to that kind of stuff is a huge benefit and gift from the foundation as well.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so beautiful the way that our bodies can contribute to greater possibilities for us if we'd only ask them, what bodies, what do you require?
Oh, and if anybody's thinking about it, if you want to know where the class is, this is the space that we set up. We have Heather there. I bring in the gong, so every time Heather comes in the room, I ring a gong because it's just fun. But we put the tables up. We have the zero gravity chairs, the blankets, and all that. We really just have a really good, just a nice space to hold for a new possibility.
Yeah. Well, did I hear you say that you're having a pop for Dane's Choice of Possibilities class?
Yeah, well, my friend Jason is. I haven't chosen the class yet, but the space, they're using the center for having the pop. So we're having a
That's
party of possibility
awesome.
for that. And for those of you, like, party of possibility means, hey, like Heather went to, was it Mexico, Florida for Brendan Watt.
Florida.
So for global and for wherever Dane is teaching, choice of possibilities in the world, if you don't want to fly there because of whatever, you can sign up for a pop host, which is like the center is being used as a party of possibility host, and you come together with other people who are taking the class via distance. So you get all the content like you were there, but you have other people from Access Consciousness that are also there, so you can trade body processes. You have that what's the word I want to use? You just have more potency with a group of people that are there also taking the class with you in person, that are holding a different type of space for you as well. So that's and there's something to be said when you are taking it from home or at a pop location, because didn't you, when you were teaching some of the foundations online, I think Ryan had shared with me that you said it was actually creating more change for people because they were in the space that they're normally in or in the areas that they're around, and it created more change in the people around them even. Do I remember that right?
Yeah.
I might be misquoting them.
Well, I'm so grateful you mentioned that, because I am going to be joining Hank live in Cleveland, Ohio, at that beautiful center to facilitate the foundation on May 14th through the 17th. So you can join us live, but you can also join us online for that one. And it's really a choice. The cool, fun thing, and something I enjoy whenever it's possible, is to get together in person, so that our bodies can be in the room together and you can swap the bars and body work. One cool possibility with live streaming this class or any other class is that the energy is where you are in your home. I have live streamed so many classes with Access Consciousness over the past year, and I noticed the space is so much different. And that's part of why I was asking about the Choice of Possibilities pop, because I know that energy will be in the space.
Oh, yeah.
And then that will be an amazing gift to us a week later. So thank you, universe.
And we're having global there as a pop too. So it's going to be pop. That Heather's going to come in and just finish us off, melting us into oblivion.
And what are the infinite possibilities? I mean, how much fun can we have with all of this? And how can this actually be greater than we could ever imagine, for us and for the earth and for all the bodies that would like to come play? So yeah, so you can definitely join us via live stream. And I do recommend for people that would like to join the foundation on live stream that they either have a child or a pet or a session set up outside of class in order to learn to run the body processes, because we'll be running them in the center. And that's a really essential part of that class. So for people that attend online, and I've facilitated some foundations online this past year, it's really vital to have that session set up so that you can experience the gifting of that energy, the receiving of that energy, and really have that change.
Because part of it with all the access body processes is the body being nurtured. And so though they may run distantly, part of it is like really being nurtured. And if you do decide to live stream it, that television that you see in the back corner, I have a computer set up with Zoom there. So like if you do ask a question, we can see you too. So it's as interactive as possible. It's really a hybrid, because if you can't tell, I have all this Zooming or streaming equipment. So like it's like a perfect match for Heather to come and do the foundation out of Cleveland, but we can easily live stream it and then bring you back on a Zoom feed if you have questions and things. So it's going to be an amazing, it's going to be so much fun. I'm getting too excited.
I know, I'm so excited. Yeah. And that was a cool part of being in Florida this weekend for the Choice of Possibilities. It was exactly like what you show with your TV there. Like they had all the people, there were actually 3 times as many people around the world online in that class as there were those of us in the room. There were like 30 some in the room and like almost 100 or some online. And they had the big screen up with all the people online. And as someone participating in that class, it was like we were all together in the class.
You know, something that's coming up that I want to bring up is access consciousness is like the choices that Gary has made for what access is causing to create change in the world. He's practicing what he preaches. They just had like this fundraiser, and you might know more about it. I accidentally stumbled across it, but there was like Symphony of Possibilities, which is a whole nother thing. And the call was like $100, but 100% of the money was donated to a charity. They ended up raising like $750,000 that all went directly to create change. And I forget the charity's name now, but Gary also bought land and was setting up like a self-sustainable like community type thing. And so like I thought it important just to get the energy of access, that it is it is really creating change for the planet. And that's my book is over there, but like the whole meaning of access at the beginning, just paraphrasing it, the point of access consciousness is to create possibilities, to create a change on the planet for all of mankind to thrive. So it's not just like, hey, I'm going to get conscious and free. It's empowering you to know that you know. And then what could you do with that awareness that might just change not just yourself, but the world? And you could be like really contributing to, we jokingly say it, to that contagion of consciousness that is going to change the world. So it's like way more than just running bars or getting some clearings. It is what could your role be in the shift and change on the planet that we're experiencing right now? And you have a whole lot more tools with something like access in your repertoire.
Well, yeah. And I mean, what gift is your happiness? What gift is your joy? And I mean, and all of these tools, like none of this is heavy or serious if you can get the gist of that from our conversation here today. I mean, all of this is about creating a life that is more fun and more joyful for you. There was a quote from Gary Douglas at one point that I love, and it's, he often says, what if the purpose of life is to have fun? And what if what's fun for you, what actually brings you and your body joy, is actually contributing to more possibilities and more consciousness on the planet?
Yeah. And the mantra of access, you can see it on the wall back here. Let me make it bigger. It's so important that we actually have it on the center, but you can see it back there. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And that's actually what Dane read in an advertisement. So Dr. Dane, who's like considered the co-founder of Access, Access existed before Dr. Dane here. And he had actually planned to commit suicide, even had a date planned. And he's like, so universe, if there's going to be something that changes, it needs to change now. You have until this date to change things. And he's looking at the paper and he sees all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. He's like, what is this? And he ends up making the phone call, going in for his bars session, and his entire life changed overnight. And he obviously didn't kill himself. And now he's traveling the world facilitating change and possibility. And what if just from one choice, everything for you could change too? Like that's for me at Access. Like as soon as I had my first bar session, it's like, oh man, this is something that I definitely need to look at. And if you go to the website that I had put up, all through that entire page, and this one will be added to it, I have live streams with Heather and I taking deeper dives into each one of the classes that she's going to be teaching, from Access Bars, one that's just general possibilities, the money workbook. We're going to do advanced money workbook. I need to order it though, because I have to like thumb through it, be like, ooh, what juicy things are in here. I haven't but you can check that out and see, even if you're not choosing the class, there's tools that we talked about in each one that can create space and possibility that maybe would hold the space for you to make a different choice in the future. So like, it's really a lot of good content to check out. And I'm hoping that even after the classes, that Heather and I can still create content like this occasionally, because it's so much fun. Especially my favorite so far was the workbook. Oh my goodness, we were on fire that day. I even had somebody message me like, what were you guys on? I'm like, nothing, that's just consciousness.
Yep, happiness.
Yeah, just happiness. It was a lot of fun. And we got into actually doing some clearing work on there, which if you guys asked a question might happen. If you have a question, Heather might just have something that might change your reality. So if you don't ask, you can't receive. Ooh, look at that. That's a meme.
I love it.
Is there anything about foundation that we haven't covered that we should cover or ought to cover? Would create more possibility if we did cover it. Everybody knows it's 4 days. I'm just trying to think. It's been a while since I've had a foundation. Like my last foundation was last year at Global. And I can't.
Awesome.
Oh, so good. Though, Gary is something else. I'll just say that he's he and anyway, you have to experience Gary for yourself to get where the energy I was holding for him. But let's see, was there anything else that you'd like to contribute to our conversation that you feel, oh, you know what? While you think if there's anything else you can contribute, I think I found that thing I wanted to read from last time. So let me bring that up.
Awesome. Yeah, well, the prerequisite for the foundation is access consciousness bars. And I know Hank's got one coming up. I have one that's the day before the foundation class. If you wanted to come to Cleveland and have 5 relaxing days of joy and change, you could do that. So there's a class on the 13th with me. Or there's classes, around the world every day to learn access bars and to be introduced to these tools. I'm facilitating one today in Maryland. So, and really with all of this, how much fun can we have? And know that I mean, this isn't for everyone. And if it's for you, you always know what's true for you. What if you always know what's going to work for you? And one of the first tools of access that I learned, and that has been such an amazing gift to me, is to start using for every choice. If I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And if I don't choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? Because
that's so good. Well, I was on a radio show yesterday, Lilydale Blog Talk Radio, and I had given the last time I was on, because this is my second time being on the program, I had just given the tool of heavy and light. And then this time I said, and for those of you who might not be, tuned in to being able to use, like, just knowing if something feels heavy or light, put it out on a trajectory. And I used that 5-year tool, and like the host just was like, what? Oh my gosh, that is so good. Like, it was like just that one little tool. She was going to take it and run with it, because just as like she's a medium and she teaches intuition development, and people for just developing that knowing, that is like such a profound tool, because it can really put it on trajectory for you to be able to have a clear knowing of what is light, what is heavy, what will create possibility. It's like your binary dialogue with the universe of how to create possibility for yourself and for others. So it's like super, super, super good. And I can't find it again. Oh wait, is this it? Money isn't the problem. You are class manual. No, that's not. That was something else. Boy, Spirit's really messing with me.
Are you talking about the purpose of access?
No, I was looking for, I had that email sent to me, and I was going to have it ready for last time. I had somebody that from one of the bars nights.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe we have to plan just one stream of like people telling how their life has changed with access. Maybe we can ask some people who've taken classes with Mary Ford and people like that, because I can't find it again. But I know I saved it.
So much fun.
I know that I saved it. So, I guess consciousness is just looking for me to create a little bit more than I was thinking about creating when I share that. So we'll do it that way. So last call for questions, folks. If you have any questions, if you have a comment, now is the time. And if not, that's cool too, because I know people are watching. I can see people watching, but everybody's just like, I'm
grateful to
they have
tuning
enough
in
possibility.
so early.
Yeah, it's really good. My kids aren't even up yet. It's like, this doesn't take away from anything in the day. I'm really surprised to see how many people tuned in actually this early, which awesome. Maybe I'm going to start doing my Coffee Connects earlier. I usually do them at like 9:15, but maybe I'll do them at 8 going forward, which is just me drinking cups of coffee, talking to people. So if you like that kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can see me drinking my morning cup of coffee, or I have guests on all the time like Heather, but I have other people on too with the Conscious Connections, which, speaking of, one of my top downloads of all time from a podcast perspective, just audibly, was the How to Become Money Workbook. I've never seen one podcast downloaded so much, and so much from Australia. It's like, wow, it was really, really something. So we have a mysterious Facebook user saying, thank you, this was interesting, have a blessed day. You're very welcome. They're commenting from one of the groups. Yeah, if you are in the groups, if you look at the whole video description, you might have to click see more. At the bottom it says, I'm going live with StreamYard, click here to give permission. And if you click that, it will actually show us who you are. But it's okay. We don't need to know who you are. You can still receive the possibility anonymously.
Yeah, well, Hank keeps mentioning the How to Become a Workbook, and there's a class coming up in that. It's if you've got points of view about money, or you don't have everything that you'd like to have financially, it's an amazing tool. And it's going to be a 10-part series, 10 one-hour sessions to clear your energy around money and abundance, and really invite in what would it take to create a life you totally love and actually have the funds to support that.
Yes, and Mary Ford and Jason Ford were just talking about that at my concert that I did the other day, and we're saying how much that call was like just so off the hook. I think they might be considering choosing it again, so we'll see. And I know we have Magic Mike, who will be hopefully coming in on that. I've been working with him to create a little bit of abundance in his life, so I'm really holding the energy for him to be able to choose Foundation this time around, because it's been a goal of his, but he also chose to take the talk to the entities first with you, because with Magic Mike, that's something he's going to choose. Anne Marie saying, good morning, Heather and Hank. Did you just join us, Anne Marie? Yeah, we're just finishing up. You can watch the replay. This has been such a great conversation.
Yeah, so much fun.
So in summary, check out, if you want to find out everything about Heather, I also have a link to her Access Consciousness profile at the very top, so you can go read more about her. And it has, if you're local to Maryland, or if you're not in Cleveland, she offers a lot of things remotely, and it has all of her classes. Where on this link specifically, it's only going to have the stuff that she is going to be in Cleveland with, and all that starts this month for the first. Well, you have 2 chances for the How to Become Money Workbook. We're doing it once in April. We're doing it once right after Foundation, and then we're jumping into an advanced class. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But you can find out everything about Heather there. Yep, and she did say yes. She just tuned in. Cool. Well, welcome. We were talking all about the Foundation class, and hopefully that's something that you may consider as a possibility. But that being said, we will plan for another stream. I have to get the Advanced Money Workbook so I can thumb through it and know what we can talk about. And then the other thing that I would love to create, if you're watching, I know we're streaming to one of the Access Consciousness groups that I run. If you have stories about how bars have changed your life, or about how you like you ran someone's bars and their life changed, if you have like these little success stories, I would love to do one of these streams where we have different practitioners on that just share the stories. Like this one email that I wanted to read that always disappears, so I would create this instead, right? It would be really cool just to hear from like practitioners using this out in the wild, say like what results and what possibilities they've created just with these simple bar tools, which would be a lot of fun. So if you are a bars practitioner and have some stories, please message me, and I would love to create a little bit with you too. Final words, Heather, what would you like to leave everyone with?
What would it take for you to have more fun today than you have ever had so far?
And everything that doesn't allow that, destroy it, uncreate it. Have a good one, guys. We will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining us today for the show. The Sonic Shaman is part of the Emergence of Being Contributor Network. Visit emergenceofbeing.com to learn about all the contributors and learn about our services and upcoming events. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. You can contribute to the show by supporting our efforts and sharing our content with those you care about and those who need it most.